Hello everyone, my name is Luke, aka Mr. Rage, and welcome back to another late night discussion video. I hope you guys are doing well on this late night. For all my fellow night owls out there, hello, it's good to see you, and I hope that you are seeing this as well. So I just want to also make a quick shout out to all of my viewers and subscribers. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another discussion video. Few shout outs as well to Gaming Computers, B Coker the Gamer 16, Platano King, Jake Wolf, and M64 Bros. Huge shout out to these YouTubers, as they are some of my best YouTube pals. So just a huge shout out to them. And so without further ado, because I'm quite excited, let's get straight into the topic of today's discussion video. As this is something that I've been wanting to talk about on the channel for quite a long time. So, can a video game be too violent? And my immediate response to that is no. No, it cannot. So people, I have talked about very similar topics in the past to the one that I am talking about in tonight's current discussion video. If there is one thing that I cannot stand more, is when someone says, oh my god, this game or movie is too violent and should be either censored or straight up banned. There is nothing that angers me more and just annoys me more when people say shit like this. Because, first of all, the people who say shit like this about video games specifically, these people do not even really play video games that much. Either they're just straight up casuals who do not even understand the fact that violence in video games has been a norm since the original Mortal Kombat that came out all the way back in the freaking 90s. Or what's even more frustrating is the fact that these people don't even play video games at all. I remember when Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was on the news back in 2009 because of the No Russian mission, and everyone who talked about how violent it was and how it was a problem, no one who talked about it even was experienced with video games. And it's the same thing now. Like, I'm not sure about you guys, but a lot of people who complain about violence in video games and even movies, a lot of these people do not even play video games themselves. And not only that, but they're also on the older side. You know, they're like, these kids are playing all these violent video games and they like seeing all this horrible stuff. Like, all these kids, like all these young people, they're so deranged because they watch and like all this violence. I don't know why I was using a Western accent there. That was a terrible impersonation, but anyways, you get the point. Like, you get what I'm saying here. Like, the people who don't even play video games themselves, who complain about this shit, just never fail to piss me off, especially when it's members of the media, because these people come from a different generation. They don't understand how the entertainment industry works in 2024 and even before 2024. And you see, one of the reasons why violence is something that we gamers don't care about is because, first of all, we are mature enough to know that this is purely fictional. It's also because we aren't snowflakes. We can tolerate this shit. You know, like, we're not sensitive like all these other people who get so offended and so shocked over violence. They're like, oh my god, this is so violent. This is too violent. It should be banned, or this should be censored. No, that's not what we gamers are like, okay? And not only that, but we are also pretty much desensitized to violence. I mean, I know I definitely am. I mean, I've been playing violent video games since I was 9. Like, I grew up with superhero games and PBS Kids, but I started playing violent video games at quite a young age. I was like 8 or 9. Like, when I played my first ever Mortal Kombat game, I was like 7 years old, and that's something I can confirm because I remember the first time I ever played MK, and I didn't care how violent it was, and neither did my parents, because for years I have understood the fact that if something is purely fictional, then what happens in fiction does not matter in reality, because there's obviously a big gap between what we can care about in fiction and reality. Now, look, I understand that games and movies can be offensive sometimes because of shit that's in there, but violence, like graphical violence, no matter how violent, no matter how gruesome, no matter how visceral and bloody it is, it doesn't matter because it's still just fiction. And not only that, but I've said this before and I will say it again, but no one is even asking these people to be playing or watching violent media. Because look, one thing I want to say right now is I understand that for some individuals, violent content is something that doesn't sit right with a lot of people. I don't think that every single person who's sensitive are assholes. As long as you don't say that, oh my god, this game is so violent, someone censor, someone ban this game right now because I think it's too violent. And if I think it's too violent, then everyone else will think the same because only my opinion matters. Like, if you're one of those people, then you're a fucking buffoon. But for all the other people who just don't like violent content in their entertainment, I completely 1000% understand. I understand that violent content can be both unpleasant, nasty, and can even make people downright uncomfortable. This goes for both video games and movies. Some people just do not like a lot of violent content because it's like, although it's fiction, I understand that it's still graphic violence, and some people just don't like that. It's unpleasant for them, you know? Some people want to be entertained, not shocked, not grossed out, not feeling uncomfortable or, you know, I understand because violent content does have negative effects on some people and even their mental health. So I understand. Like, I'm not saying that everyone should enjoy violent content and everyone should not be upset over violent content. Like, if you think a game is too violent and if you think the game is bad because of its violence, I also understand that. Because if there's something in a game that you don't like, then obviously you're gonna say you don't like it and you're gonna say it's a bad game because you think it's a bad game. Same again goes for movies. Like, if you don't like games that are too violent or movies that are too violent or just any form of entertainment that has too much visceral violence, I completely understand. As long as you're not one of those people who thinks that games or movies should be either banned or censored just because you think so. Because essentially what you're doing is you are ruining this form of entertainment for other people. Because I've also said this before on the channel, and once again, I will say it again. Just because you think something in a video game or a movie is too violent, that's you, okay? You're not speaking for every other person on this planet and in this country. There's a reason why so much violence is allowed in entertainment here in America, because we are allowed to have opinions and we are allowed to say what we want based on how we are feeling about something. And if you want to say that a game or a movie is too violent, then fine. That's your opinion, but can you please keep it an opinion instead of saying that this game needs to be censored? Like, I can't stand that shit. Like, when someone says that a game should be banned or censored, like either straight up banned or just censored, like that shit just pisses me off because first of all, you're not speaking for me and you're not speaking for other people who may not have the same opinion as you. Even if a large group of people was to all agree that a game was too violent, that still doesn't mean anything because another large group of people may not have that same opinion. Everyone sees things in their own view. Everyone views things differently, individually. You know, it's what makes us unique because we all have our different opinions. We all see the world in our own way, and video games is literally no exception, as well as all other forms of entertainment. Just because you think something is too violent and should be censored or banned, you're not speaking for everyone else. And when these people ask for these forms of entertainment to be banned or censored, like I said, you're literally just fucking it up for the other people. Because there are plenty of other people who don't get shocked or are desensitized to violence or just don't care about violence. Or people like me who understand that it's fictional. Like, let me tell you something. Everything that I see in both video games and movies, nothing is ever too violent for me. Nothing. Like, I am completely desensitized, but the reason why I'm desensitized is because I know that what I am seeing is not real. But once again, I understand that some people do get offended over this, and they have a right to. Like, let me make another example here. In Grand Theft Auto 5, long story short, you can pull up in a crowd in Grand Theft Auto 5. You could pull up to a crowd of people, pull out a gun, and shoot down a crowd of people. Pretty much a mass shooting. And that shit happens in real life. It's tragic, disturbing, and it is a horrible thing that happens. That shit happens in real life. So not only is that extremely violent, extremely disturbing, but it is also extremely offensive. I will admit. That shit is definitely offensive for some people. And I understand. I understand why some people would be offended over that kind of violence in a video game. But still, that does not mean that the game should be censored or straight up banned just because you feel like that. Because you are not speaking for everyone else, and everyone else does not share the same opinion as you. Because not everyone is as sensitive as you. Because unfortunately for you, an unfortunate fact is you are sensitive. However offensive as that may be, like however offensive violence may be, certain violence in video games, if you cannot handle stuff that happens in a fictional video game, whether it's violence or something else, then you're just sensitive. You can't handle it, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you. I'm not insulting you. I'm not saying anything like that. It's completely fine to not enjoy that type of shit. I understand. I get it. But what I don't get is the fact that these people actually think that the idea of getting a game banned, straight up banned, or censored, or even going as far as to harassing the developers just for putting that type of violent content in the game, that right there is both pathetic, immature, and also just straight up unrealistic thinking. Because you cannot speak for everyone else just because your opinion involves you being offended or shocked or whatever, or disturbed. It doesn't matter. Like, just because you think something is disturbing, extremely offensive, or violent, you're not speaking for everyone else, okay? And not everyone is going to share that same opinion as you. It doesn't matter how violent a game or a movie is. Just because you are offended by it, and just because you think it's too violent, you're not speaking for everyone else, and you have no right to try and get that game or movie censored or banned just because you feel that way. Because you are not the only person who has an opinion that matters. As a matter of fact, no one's opinion matters, because that's the thing about opinions. Opinions is just how we feel about things, which is why it makes even less sense to think that a game should be banned or censored just because you think it should be. Because that's the thing about opinions. They don't matter to people who don't agree with that opinion or don't have that same opinion. They have their own opinions. And that's the beauty of opinions. People are allowed to have their own opinions. People are allowed to say what they want. That's the beauty of an opinion. So if you think a video game is too violent, or a movie or anything else, keep it as an opinion, okay? But don't let it go beyond that, because what you're trying to do is you are trying to force your opinion on other people. Because when you think a game should be banned or censored or anything else just because of its violence, that's basically you trying to force your opinion on me and everyone else who doesn't feel the same way that you do, which is a very stupid thing to do. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, Mr. Rage, I mean, there's plenty of violent video games right now, and video games are as violent as they've ever been. And I understand that's true, but there are just so many people, including the media, that still feel this way. I know for a fact that when GTA 6 launches, the media is going to do the same shit they always do when a new Grand Theft Auto game launches every 10 or so years. They're going to be like, is this game causing real-life violence? Is this game too violent? Should this game be banned in America? No, the fuck it shouldn't. And you know what? Now that I think about it, there's actually one more thing I want to talk about. Do video games cause actual violence? The answer is actually yes. But does that mean that the video game is to blame for that? The fact that I even have to answer this shit is pathetic. No. No, it should not. Because if someone is actually influenced by a violent video game to become violent or aggressive in reality, like in real life, that person has a fucking mental problem and they belong inside of a goddamn mental asylum. Or on TikTok, maybe, because TikTok pretty much is a mental asylum, except for there's no actual gates to keep them from society. You know, that's the scary thing about TikTok. Like, that's why you see so much mentally ill folk on TikTok, you know, doing crazy shit. But anyways, yeah, like I was saying, if a person is actually influenced by a violent video game to actually act on violence in real life, it's not the fucking game's fault, because that's not what they were intended for. Like, look, I've been playing violent video games all my life, and so have plenty of other people, more than a handful, and none of them have been influenced by violent video games to become violent in real life. So that is a bullshit ass statement when people say that violent video games could actually cause people to become violent in real life. And even if it is, it's not the fucking game's fault. People out there are fucking mentally ill. They have a lot of fucking problems and they need help. And if they're playing those type of games, and if they were influenced by those type of games to actually become violent in real life, that's not the fucking game's problem. And anyone who actually blames the game for that is a fucking moron. So no, although video games may cause someone to become violent, you can't blame the video game for that, okay? Because if we could start blaming video games for real life violence, then I guess you could do that for movies now too. I guess if someone watches Michael Myers and they have some kind of fucking mental disorder, then they'll think they could become Michael Myers in real life and go out and kill people. And then we'll just blame the actual fucking movie for that. I swear, like, the lawmakers and the police in this country are so fucking incompetent that they will blame entertainment for why people are becoming so dangerous in society. I'll tell you why people are becoming so dangerous out there. Because people are fucking crazy. They have mental problems. They have mental disorders. There's something wrong with their fucking brains. And the reason why they're out there running amongst people is because the psychiatrists and the fucking healthcare system in this country is too fucking broken to actually give people the help that they need, which is why mental illness is such a big problem in this country. That's the reason why there's so many crazy people running amongst out there. That's why there's mass shootings and all kinds of other shit, because there's crazy people out there who are not getting professional help, which is what they need for their sake and everyone else's, because they're a danger to other people. It's why there's mass shootings and all kinds of other shit out there. That's why there's so much crime, and that's why there's so much violence, real life violence happening in real life. You can't blame video games for that and fucking movies. You blame the fucking healthcare system, because psychiatrists don't want to help, psychiatry is too expensive, and the fucking hospitals don't want to help, and neither does this country's fucked up healthcare system. Anyways, that about does it for tonight's discussion video. If you guys stuck by till the end, thank you so very much for watching. And like I said before, if you are someone who does not like violence in your entertainment, there are plenty of great games that are still fun, still enjoyable, and don't have a lot of violence in them. And some don't have violence at all. Like the Mario games, I mean, Legend of Zelda, I mean, there's plenty of fun, casual, family-friendly games out there. And the same goes for movies. Like, I don't know, go watch Marvel, you know, go watch a Marvel movie or something. And if you want to get a little darker, watch a DC movie. Like, no one is even asking you to watch violent movies if you don't like violence in your movies. And the same goes for your video games. If you don't like playing extremely bloody games like Mortal Kombat or Resident Evil or any other extremely violent game, no one is asking you to. And no one is asking you to say that the game is too violent for people who actually can tolerate that shit. It just pisses me off. So anyways, don't be like that. You know, don't be dumb like that. Like, because those people are fucking idiots. Because like I just said, just because you think something is too violent, you're not speaking for everyone else. And just because you think something should be banned, again, you're literally ruining it for people who are not as sensitive as you are. So again, no, video games cannot be too violent, because the term too violent is literally subjective. Something that's too violent for you, or something that's too violent in your eyes, might be the exact opposite for a lot of other people. So again, no, video games cannot be too violent. It may be too violent for you, but not for someone else. So no, in my opinion, video games cannot be too violent. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, if you stuck by all the way till the end, Thank you so very much for watching. It really means a lot. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next discussion video. Take care, y'all. Peace out.